The United States is the undisputed world leader in arming the Navy. Every day, submarines and surface ships are on duty in all corners of the globe. In our selection, we will show the top 5 deadliest submarines of the USA. Enjoy watching. 5th place. Our list opens with the famous line of submarines of the Los Angeles type. Unlike the previous American atomic submarines, which were relatively slow-moving, the new boat had to have a high speed, which would allow it to effectively counteract Soviet nuclear submarines and accompany its own aircraft carrier formations. To achieve these goals, new hull contours tested on the Albacore experimental submarine were used in the design of the new atomic submarine. Since the boat was supposed to operate in close contact with surface ships, it was equipped with advanced communication equipment with the Link 16 data transmission line, which allows receiving information about the tactical situation from other ships. Much attention was paid to reducing the unmasking factors. The leadership of the U.S. Navy considered it pointless to race for the speed and depth of submarines, believing that the torpedo would still be faster than the submarine and would be able to attack at any depth available to the latter. But if you make the boat quiet enough, then it will become invulnerable to enemy means of detection and destruction. Therefore, American submarines, inferior to the Soviet one-year-olds in speed, were less noisy. The standard displacement of the Los Angeles is 2/100 tons more than that of its predecessor, the atomic submarine Sturgeon, which is explained by the installation of a more powerful nuclear power plant and new electronic equipment, increased ammunition, as well as other factors. In addition to the usual Mk-48 torpedoes, Tomahawk cruise missiles and anti-ship Harpoon missiles can be launched through torpedo tubes, as well as mines. In the 1970s and 1980s, atomic submarine ammunition also included Sabrik anti-submarine missiles, but they were subsequently removed from service. At the turn of the 1980s, a program was developed to increase the combat capabilities of the atomic submarine of the Los Angeles type, which provided for the installation of a vertical launch UVP Mk-45 installation for 12 Tomahawk cruise missiles in the bow tank of the main ballast. Thanks to this, the submarine's ammunition increased by almost 50%. Submarines were built in this version, starting with the 32nd ship in the series Providence SS N-719. The submarines of the basic project are conventionally designated as Project 688 by the side number of the lead submarine, and with the UVP-688VL-5 vertical launching system from the 40th ship San Juan SS N-751. Submarines are being built according to the improved Project 688I improved. On these ships, acoustic visibility is once again reduced due to the installation of a new shaped propeller, low noise pumps, and the use of a sound-absorbing hull coating. Radio electronic equipment has also been upgraded. The boats received the ABS-Y1 combat information and control system, the first in the American fleet that fully integrates navigation, sonar, and weapon control. 4th place, James Madison. The separation of this project into a separate type occurred in the 1980s after the modernization of the boats of the second series, and in the USSR and Western European countries, along with boats of the Benjamin Franklin type. They have always been of the Lafayette type. Structurally and in appearance, they almost did not differ from their predecessors, the atomic submarine Lafayette. A number of measures have been developed to reduce the level of their own noise. Part of the equipment was unified with the equipment of the atomic submarine of the Thresher type being built at that time. The missile firing control system and navigation system have been upgraded due to the installation of a longer-range missile. The launch system was upgraded, in which, instead of liquid irrigation, the protection of the launch shaft with polyurethane foam was applied. The construction of 10 boats of the James Madison type was approved on July 19th. 1961 by President J. Kennedy. Construction was carried out in 1962, 1964 at for Shipyards Electric Boat, Newport News, Mare Island NSY and Portsmouth NSY, together with the atomic submarine types George Washington, Ethan Allen, Lafayette, and Benjamin Franklin in 60 to 64. The U.S. Navy received 41 boats. All of them were named after prominent figures in American history and were nicknamed 41 on guard. Of freedom. The boats have 16 missile silos with a height of 11 meters and an internal diameter of 2.1 meters. The shaft is a steel cylinder rigidly fixed in the atomic submarine hull. From above, the shaft is closed with a lid with a hydraulic drive. There is a membrane under the lid that prevents seawater from entering the shaft when the lid is opened. A steel launch cup is installed inside the mine, in which the rocket itself is placed. Between the walls of the shaft and the launch cup there are shock absorbers designed to dampen shock loads on the rocket. Third place, Benjamin Franklin. Benjamin Franklin type submarines is a series of 12 American strategic nuclear submarines of the second generation. The third series of nuclear submarines with ballistic missiles of the Lafayette type. The boats were armed with 16 ballistic missiles for the Polaris A-3 submarines. In the early 1970s, all boats were re-equipped with Poseidon missiles, and in the early 1980s, 6 boats received Trident I missiles, together with submarines of the types George Washington, Ethan Allen, Lafayette, and James Madison in the 1960s. Benjamin Franklin made up a fleet of 41 strategic missile carriers of the U.S. Navy. The boats were named after prominent figures in American history and were nicknamed 41 on guard. Of freedom. The submarines of the series were built according to an improved design on strategic missile carriers of the Benjamin Franklin type. The technology of coating the turbine installation and the mechanisms of the main turbo-toothed units with sound-absorbing material was used, which allowed reducing the noise of the boat. In order to reduce noise, the design of the extremities was slightly modified and a new design screw was used. Otherwise, submarines of this type repeated the design of the first series of boats. Of the Lafayette Type 2 subseries of 6 boats were built. SSB N640 to 645 were ordered to the fleet in 1962. SSB N654 to 659 were ordered a year later and were built according to a slightly modified design. The construction of the boats was carried out in 1960 to 1967 at the shipyards. Of electric boats, 7 boats. Newport News for boats and Mare Island NSY 1 boat. The last boat of this type, Will Rogers SSB N659, was handed over to the fleet on April 1, 1967. A total of 31 boats of 3 series were built. Due to the virtually single-hull design, the boats turned out to be smaller in size than the second-generation missile carriers of the USSR. It was better for American boats to deal with noise. The submarines of the USSR were better suited for operation in the Arctic and had missiles with an intercontinental firing range. The American Poseidon and Trident I missiles had a shorter range, but were equipped with a shared head with individual guidance units, due to an integrated approach. In conditions of developed infrastructure and well-established organization of combat patrols, American boats in the 70s were operated with an operational voltage coefficient of 0.5 to 0.6 and Soviet ones 0.17 to 0.24. Each boat was equipped with 2 crews, blue and gold, alternately going to sea. The boats had a 100-day cycle of operational use, 68 days on combat patrol and 32 days on intership repairs in the base. Second place, Virginia. The newest submarines of the Virginia type are universal ships of the new generation. It is believed that they can solve a wide variety of combat tasks with high efficiency. American engineers began developing the Virginia-class submarines in 1991. By that time, the construction of a series of submarines of the Sea-Wolf type had already begun in the USA. The latter were considered highly efficient, but highly specialized ships designed to fight enemy submarines. In addition, their cost was prohibitively high. The change in the foreign policy situation caused by the collapse of the USSR forced the leadership of the American fleet to change priorities. The construction of a large series of submarines of the Sea-Wolf type was abandoned, preferring a new project. Currently, the construction of the Virginia-type submarine continues. These submarines will replace their Los Angeles-type predecessors and become the most numerous submarines of the American fleet for a long time. Structurally, the Virginia submarine is a single-hull, single-shaft, low-noise pump jet-type propulsion. The robust hull of the submarine is a cylinder of a single diameter 10.4 meters with conical sections at the ends. It is divided by watertight bulkheads into 3 compartments. In the second compartment, there is an airlock chamber, which occupies 2 interdeck spaces in height. The main power plant is located in the third compartment and includes a modular water-water nuclear reactor of the General Electric Company S9G with a thermal capacity of 29.8 megawatts and 2 steam turbines combined into 1 turbine-toothed unit. The reactor is designed for 30 years of operation without recharging the core. An electric retractable rotary column, located in the stern, outside the sturdy hull, is used as a backup propulsion to perform special operations. The submarine is equipped with a camera in which an ultra-small sabotage submarine or a remote-controlled device for searching and destroying mines can be placed. The full-time number of the reconnaissance and sabotage group taken on board is 9 people. The main means of detection consist of an ABI QQ-10 sonar complex with active and passive nose antennas, an ABI QG-5A station with 6 antennas located on the sides of the hull, and 2 extended flexible towed antennas TB-16F and TB-9A. The submarine is also equipped with an WLY-1 acoustic counter-action system. For the first time in world practice, the traditional periscope was abandoned on the Virginia submarine. It is replaced by a multifunctional telescopic mast that does not penetrate into the durable hull. A TV camera and other sensors are installed on the mast, transmitting information to the monitors of the central post. Virginia was created as an exclusively multifunctional submarine. It is designed not only to combat surface and submarines of the enemy. The submarine can also strike coastal targets, perform mine laying, conduct electronic reconnaissance, secretly land sabotage groups in the enemy's rear. One of the requirements for the submarine arising from its tasks was the ability to operate covertly in shallow areas. To do this, the ballast tanks of the submarine are controlled by a special computer program that allows it to move with very high accuracy. It is reported that the Virginia submarine can remain stationary for several days, even where there are undercurrents, and the maximum time it is underwater without surfacing is 3 months, so we got close to the king of our list. First place, Ohio. The Ohio-class submarines are currently the only type of strategic missile carriers in the American fleet. Nuclear submarines with ballistic missiles of the Ohio type were commissioned from 1981 to 1997. A total of 18 submarines were built. According to the project, each of these boats carries on board 24 Trident intercontinental 3-stage solid-fuel ballistic missiles equipped with separable warheads with individual guidance. On April 10, 1976, the construction of a new nuclear strategic submarine for the American fleet, SSBN 726-0HIO, began at the Electric Boat Shipyard, which became the lead in a large series of similar submarines that were developed in accordance with the Trident program. Development and research work on the project of a new strategic missile carrier was carried out in America from October 26, 1972, and the order for the construction of the lead boat of the series was issued on July 25, 1974. Currently, all 18 boats built under this project remain in the American fleet. 17 boats were named after U.S. states, and one boat, SSB N730 Henry M. Jackson, was named after Senator Henry Jackson, specifically for the deployment of new submarines in the United States. Two bases were modernized. One on the Pacific coast is Bangor. Today, it is the Kitsap Naval Base formed in 2004 by merging the Bangor Submarine Base and the Bremerton Naval Base in Washington State. The second on the Atlantic coast is the Kings Bay Naval Base in Georgia. Each of these two bases is designed to service 10 SSBS. The bases were equipped with the necessary equipment for receiving and unloading ammunition from boats, routine repairs, and maintenance of submarines. All conditions have been created to ensure the rest of the personnel. Training centers for personnel training were built at each base. They could train up to 25,000 people every year. Special simulators installed in the centers made it possible to work out the processes of controlling the submarine in a variety of conditions, including torpedo and rocket firing. The main armament of the Ohio-type SSBMS were intercontinental ballistic missiles placed in 24 vertical shafts, which are located in 2 longitudinal rows immediately behind the fence of the retractable devices. The ICBM shaft is a steel cylinder that is rigidly fixed in the hull of the submarine in order to be able to install Trident to missiles on board. The missile silo was initially enlarged compared to the boats of the previous project. Its length is 14.8 meters. Its diameter is 2 meters. The shaft is closed from above with a cover equipped with a hydraulic drive. It provides sealing of the shaft and is designed for the same pressure level as the robust hull of the submarine. There are 4 control and adjustment hatches on the lid, which are designed for routine inspections. A special locking mechanism is designed to provide protection against unauthorized access and controls the opening of technological hatches and the lid itself. The Trident ICBM can be launched at 15 to 20 second intervals from a diving depth of up to 30 meters, with a boat speed of about 5 knots and sea waves up to 6 points. All 24 missiles can be fired in one salvo, while test launches of the entire boat's ammunition in one salvo have never been carried out. In the United States, an uncontrolled movement of the rocket takes place in the water after it reaches the surface. According to the acceleration sensor, the first stage engine is activated. In normal mode, the engine is switched on at an altitude of about 10 to 30 meters above the sea surface. Currently, the Ohio-type SSBBS continue to hold the palm in terms of the number of missile silos 24 placed on their board and are still considered one of the most advanced in their class. According to experts, among the built strategic missile carriers, only French boats of the Triumphant type can compete with these boats in terms of noise level. The high accuracy of the Trident II ICBM makes it possible to hit not only land-based ICBMs, but also the entire range of high-strength targets, such as in-depth KP and mine launchers. And the long launch range 300 kilometers, allows the Ohio-type SSBMS to carry out combat duty in the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans, in the zone of domination of their own Navy, which provides boats sufficiently high combat stability. The combination of low maintenance costs and high efficiency of these submarines armed with Trident II ICBMs has led to the fact that strategic naval forces currently occupy a leading position in the U.S. nuclear triad. The decommissioning of the last Ohio-class boat is scheduled for 2040. As we can see, with such technological submarines, the United States and its allies are reliably protected from the encroachments of hostile states. Subscribe to the channel so as not to miss interesting and entertaining tops in the USA.